Okay, so it is after dinner now. I have cleaned the kitchen, put any leftovers away, which the only leftovers were 2 biscuits. So maybe not biscuits and gravy tomorrow. So, for the cost of this recipe, for the steak, it depends on where you are, where you go, whether your store or butcher has a good cut of meat, whether they have it on sale, etc. Right now, I found on Walmart.com they have a 2-pack of ribeyes for $16.13. When we look at the meat department, typically at Walmart, we don't find that their cuts of meat that they have are that good. But recently, we have started shopping at Cash Savers in Crossett, and we have found that they do have a good cut of meat. So that is where we go and get our meat, our steaks, ground beef, and the 3-pack of steaks that we got was $25. And for a package of broccoli that we used, it costed about, I believe it's around $7 to $10. But I'm making sure. So, but that's something that all that isn't going towards one meal. That, because you're not using the whole bag in one meal. $5 for that bag. Not a bad deal. Even if all that was going towards one meal, that still wouldn't be a bad deal. So, you have the broccoli and the steak cost factors going into your meal. And then you have a block of Velveeta, which you also won't use the whole thing for one meal. But one block cost about $7.99. And then you just have your salt and pepper. I mean, I don't think that needs to be added into the cost. And then your biscuits. The certain ones that we use, I've only been able to find them at a local grocery store. And for a 24-pack, it's, I want to say like $12. But for just a 12-pack, it's like $6, I believe. So, and then again, it's not all going towards one meal. So there is that, and the fact that if it is the brand that we like, we prefer, and it's worth it. So then the reflection, we have what I learned through this meal. I don't think I learned anything in particular because I am the one that usually does the cooking in the house. I cook dinner every night. So, I mean, I know that kitchen like the back of my hand. So, there is that. And also, there were a couple things that I did notice that, because every time you cook, it's not going to be exactly the same. I mean, it's not a science. It doesn't have to be exactly to the book. Cooking is never perfect. For example, one thing was the steaks that were in this pack this time. They were actually thicker than the steaks that we normally get. So by the time that the inside was cooked to the correct temperature, the outside had a little extra crust and was more seared than I would prefer it to be. But on that aspect, Mom also did say that she liked the crust on there. So maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. We never know. What did your family / friends think of the meal? It's just like every other time we cook steak. I mean, sometimes it's really hard to mess up a steak, but it is something that we cook often, so it is something that they enjoy. We enjoy. What I thought of the recipe, the recipe is actually a recipe that I kind of reinterpreted from how Gordon Ramsay makes his steaks, except he gets all fancy with garlic and rosemary when he does his butter, but he does just salt and pepper. That's how I do it. Do the oil and cast iron skillet, patting it dry. But the tip about not cutting the meat and letting it rest, that's just something that I've learned through trial and error. And what's something that I would do different next time? Well, I was told that my dad would have preferred to have a baked potato, so next time I will make baked potato with the steak. Okay, had to pause for a second. So, I was thinking about other things that I could answer, and after I watched back some of this footage and even catching myself doing it while I was filming, and realized that I did a couple things. Number one, when I put the steak, the second steak, into the cast iron skillet, I used silicone tongs, which we use those on our good pans so we don't scratch them. And I wasn't thinking when I grabbed those to use a steak, because they don't really like to grab it very well. I should have used just the regular metal tongs. So you can see me in the footage jumping because the steak had fell into the pan and some of the oil splashed up. And another thing, there was one point while I was cutting up the Velveeta, and I started talking and I didn't realize it, and I caught myself as I saw it back on the screen, that while I was talking I went to scratch my face and I had the knife in my hand. And I mean, doing it doesn't seem that bad, but then when you look back at the footage, it's like, okay. And overall, for the overall cost of this recipe, I think if you can find a good cut of steak for like $25, like we found it, and then like how we get the bulk bags of the broccoli, which was 3 pounds and 4 ounces, and for that price, that's a good deal. And overall, I think that for a good meal, a good steak dinner, that the cost, which would be probably around maybe $40 for everything. I mean, if you're counting in the little bit of oil used, the butter, just little things, count it all up, $40. There you go. I say for a good steak dinner, that's not that bad. And there is the fact that, yes, this is just a steak that you made at home. I mean, you can't beat going to a steakhouse and getting a good steak. But overall, the recipe was good. It's something we always make, we'll continue to make. And I don't think I learned anything through this experience in general. Maybe became a little bit aware of things and know to be a little more cautious and just watch the way I move the knives and be careful. But I think I just don't watch that kind of stuff because I know the kitchen with the back of my hand and I'm just used to it. So overall, we enjoyed the recipe and we enjoyed making this video with my cameraman, camera mom, and the pitiful dogs wanting some steak. So that is it for the recap on my ribeye steak dinner with broccoli and cheese and a side salad and biscuits. Thank you. Okay, so